I've had my Africa Twin for 2 weeks now, and this is its first proper dirt trial. Hi, I'm Adrian. This is my 2021 model Africa Twin Adventure Sport. It's the DCT model with electronic suspension. This is my mate Lauren. He's got the standard manual version Africa Twin, and he's agreed to hold my hand on this adventure. This video is all about us riding the bridle track, but we have to get there first. It's about 380 kilometres from home. And this little diversion is called the Blackfellows Hand Track. Rumour has it there's Aboriginal art somewhere in this area, but we didn't stop to find it. But it's pretty spectacular rock formations that we get to ride through. Not much filming today, apart from a couple of glamour photos that I stopped for. And while the day's ride was really excellent and we travelled some butte, gravel country roads and some twisty mountain roads as well, I haven't filmed that. But here's just a couple of quick examples of getting there. The bike is feeling really stable on these gravel roads, and my confidence is building rapidly. My old dirt bike skills are coming back again. So, it's true, what they say. It's just like riding a bike. You never really forget. We're almost at Hill End. The day's warming up. We've stopped at Sofala just for a bit of a break. And then it's off on the bikes again for some nice twisty roads that head up to Hill End. Hill End is now a historic site. During the boom years of between 1871 and 1874, about 8,000 people lived at Hill End. After 1874, the mines closed down and prospectors moved to other fields, leaving only a lot isolated mining or old workings and alluvial diggings. In 1872, the Star of Hope Mining Company uncovered what was, at the time, the world's largest specimen of reef gold. Although it was a specimen, it became known as Halterman's Nugget. It weighed 286 kilos and measured 150 centimetres by 66 centimetres, with an average thickness of 10 centimetres. Hill End was proclaimed a historic site in 1967 and placed under the care of the National Parks and Wildlife Service, which began preserving and restoring the buildings on the site. Today, about 130 people live in Hill End. Anyway, this is our accommodation for the night, and what a beaut place it is too. Real good old-fashioned country hospitality. Need a drink? No worries. Just walk in behind the bar, write your name down, and tell us what you've had. This is my luxury villa for the night. No boys sleeping together for us. We both snore, so it's worth the cost of a separate room. It's about 7:30 on the Sunday morning and we're off, heading for the bridal track, which starts just at the back of the Hill End township. It's only a 32-kilometre gravel road, so we're going to ride down and then ride back again. This track is very popular and not that far from Sydney. We're hoping to avoid most of the traffic by starting off early. And right at the beginning of the track, we're told what to expect. There's a few metres of sealed road, then it's straight into the gravel. I'm following Lauren and I'm finding it quite dusty. The breeze hasn't come up yet and the dust's hanging around, so I just hang back a bit so that I don't have to ride in the dust. For those who are interested, I'm running Mitas EO7s. These are about a 60/40 tyre, and so far I've been really impressed. They're really good on paved roads, and for the gravel roads we've done so far, they're also really excellent. So it'll be interesting to see how they do for mileage. As you can see, this is just a twin lane track. No great room for passing, and therefore it's not the sort of track that you'd want to speed on, because coming across a four-wheel drive the other way can really ruin your day. We found most of the four-wheel drives that we came across were doing the right thing and being very careful, but you only need one. It would certainly be a pain if you were in a four-wheel drive and another four-wheel drive came the other way. There's not many places you can squeeze past. Anyway, we're only a few minutes into the track and it's already spectacular with huge pressy-pusses down the side. I think we might be first down the track this morning, so there's a bit of wildlife hanging around. There are heaps of places to picnic and camp along the way, and we found there were lots of people taking advantage of that. Riding midweek would be the go. This would have been fine for me because I'm only a lazy, layabout retired person, but unfortunately Lauren has to work for a living, so it's the weekend for us. The riding isn't particularly difficult. The surface is nice and hard, and there's only one theoretical creek crossing, which is a nice concrete one, so no trouble at all. Going slow and enjoying the scenery is definitely the way to go on this road. Once you come down off the mountain from Hill End, you pretty much follow the river the whole length of this track. And there's just one fantastic vista after another. But watch out for those drainage ditches. sometimes they can be a bit hard to spot. This is just one small example of many of how the side of the road is held up. Hand-stacked rocks. When the weather's fine and dry, you could even do this track on a road bike if you were careful. But your tyres might get beaten around a bit because there's a lot of small, sharp, loose gravel that could easily give you a puncture. And there are a few rough sections that would be a bit uncomfortable on a short suspension road bike. But it's doable. Having now ridden this track, I'd have no qualms in riding on my previous bike, my Honda NC 750X. But I've got to admit that the Africa Twin is a lot more comfortable and a lot more capable, and therefore a lot more pleasant to ride this sort of track. One of the problems of trying to film the bridle track is that everything is spectacular. You get these views all the way along the track, so when to stop filming? I think it's time to talk about how the bike's performing, and I guess also how I'm performing. This is not a technically difficult track, and so it's a good reintroduction for me back onto some relatively serious gravel roads. Well, it gets more serious up ahead. Armchair experts talk about how top-heavy this Africa Twin is, but I certainly haven't found it that way. It's nice and nimble on the road, and I don't feel the weight. Oh, hang on. A bunch of feral goats. Okay, they're out of the way. Monaghan's Bluff is a new section that's been put in that goes around a landslip that closed the road for quite a long time. You can see how it's nice and wide, but it's very steep. I don't know whether you can tell on the GoPro, but I've got traction control set as minimum, and the traction control is kicking in the whole way. It's a very hard surface with loose gravel on the top, so it's not particularly grippy. But I think this is better than having traction control off, because otherwise there'd be a lot of wheel spin, I think. The GoPro smooths out the hairpin bends, but you can sort of see them as I look back. Getting back to how the bike is to ride, first of all a bit of background. I've been riding dirt bikes in the bush for most of my adult life, so I'm reasonably familiar with dirt bike riding. I also owned an 1150 GS for 13 years and spent a lot of time adventuring on that. But I can already say that the Africa Twin is light years ahead of the 1150 GS as far as dirt riding is concerned. Anyway, we're at the top of Monaghan's Bluff, so let's have a look at it. Coming down off the bluff is a bit of a challenge as well, because it is very steep. Again, the GoPro doesn't really show it. But so long as we take it easy, it's not really difficult. But those loose rocks are very slippery. Normally on these tight, slow hairpins, on a normal bike, I'd be feathering the throttle just to control my speed. But I'm finding with the DCT, the throttle is smooth enough that I don't need to do that. Very easy just to glide around. No problems feeding in the power. The longer I ride this bike, the more impressed I'm getting with this DCT. And of course it's impossible to stall, so I can go as slow as I like. Time for another little break, this time beside the river, so we can soak up the Serenity. We've come out into farmland and we're almost at the end of the track, and the local residents are quite happy to let us drive by. This is it, the end of the 32 kilometres of gravel. So it's time to do a nice, smooth U-turn and head back up again. It's so easy to do slow speed manoeuvring with the DCT. I don't miss the clutch at all.
Perfect.
Rightio then, it's back up the hill to do it all again. So let's take Monaghan's Bluff just a little bit faster. Phew, that was fun. But let's get back to normal speed and enjoy the ride again. I've been riding this whole track just in auto mode in S1. After experimenting with other modes and also manual, I came back to S1. I found that it was selecting gears up and down just in the same spots as I would. But leaving it in auto meant I didn't have to worry about the gearing, I could just enjoy the ride and concentrate on the track. And I found riding in standard gravel mode suited me just perfectly. It was right here that things turned to poo, but I didn't realise it. In fact, I didn't realise the full implications until I got home. Lauren decided to investigate this little side track that went down to one of the many camping areas. It was quite steep, but easily doable. But going down over a couple of these drainage ditches, I thought there might be something wrong, but just put it out of my mind. It was just my imagination. Anyway, Lauren, being the caring person that he is, kept following this little track and decided to give me a bit of a test out. Am I silly enough to follow him? Or will I wait for him to come back? The answer's pretty obvious. I'm silly enough to follow him. Down into this little gully. Looks easy on the GoPro. Probably is easy in reality too. But up until now, I still hadn't tested out that 250 kilo bike. Well, as usual, the bike is more capable than the rider, and the rider decided to let the bike do its thing, and it did its thing without any problem. As I said previously, there are many places to picnic and camp along the way. But we're on the move again. Hang on, what was that?
That's my hat.
Aha, he says. That's my hat. Oh dear, some idiot didn't zip up his bag when we stopped back at that rock cutting. Right about now I was thinking, oh well, that was good, no harm done. Lumber back up to the bike. Remember to zip up the bag this time and everything will be fine. It wasn't till I got home that I realised that, oh dear, my glasses were in that bag, and so were my GoPro battery and charger, and the selfie stick, all of which are along the bridle track somewhere. Well, that was an expensive mistake, but you can't help being an idiot. And it was encouraging to find out that Wendy also reminded me of that when I got home. It's good to have people close to you who will tell it like it is. Anyway, that's the end of the adventure that we came for. It's time to head home. We will have done about 800 kilometres by the time we get home. We still have some interesting roads to go on to get home, some twisty country road and a nice section of gravel farm road as well, but I won't be filming any of that because the focus of this video was the bridle track. and the success of my Africa Twin adventure sport. Thanks for looking after me, Lauren. Looking forward to our next adventure.